Good morning, Year 12. I hope you're well. It's time for your second lesson on disease dilemmas this morning. So you should be looking at this on Monday morning. Accompanying your email and this video, you've got a PowerPoint presentation again. So if you open that up, and again, I'm just going to talk you through that and leave you gaps in which to do the work. Okay. So the first slide shows you some of the key terms from the glossary that we were learning last lesson. And what I'd like you to do first of all, please, is just to try to match those up. And you can just do that by writing the number and the letter which go with each other. So if you think the definition for communicable diseases is an epidemic which spreads worldwide, you would write 1 equals F. Okay, so we just do that now. Thank you. Okay, the second slide shows you how you should have matched those key terms up, and it's really worth practicing those key terms lots and lots of times over and over again until you start to learn them really well. The next slide is a starter activity for you, slide 3. And a lot of the diseases that we're going to be studying in this topic are diseases which are impacting people who live in Africa. And so it's going to be really useful to know the names of African countries and where they are and their context and setting and what other countries are next to them, so that we can talk geographically about the distribution and spread of diseases. What I'd like you to do is outlined on slide 3 and slide 4 is a map of Africa. And I'd like you to do this either digitally, so fill in the names of the countries on PowerPoint, or I'd like you to print off the map of Africa, please, and fill it in by hand. And you can see what I'd like you to do is try and do it from memory first. Then you could use the flags and the names of the countries on that slide, on slide 3, to help you to do that. And finally, if you do it using an atlas or the internet. Okay. If you get that done and put that in the front of your notes, and when you've done that, unpause the video and we'll move on. So you can see the title for today's work is what is the global distribution of diseases, and we're going to look at 5 specific diseases about where they occur in the world and where they are most prevalent. And you can see those diseases are outlined on that slide. So if you write today's title, and then I'd like you to make a prediction. I'd like you to try to predict for me where you think those diseases are most prevalent or occur most throughout the world. If you just do that now. And then on the next slide, you can see that I've made a prediction about what you would think. And I think that you will have said that malaria is mainly occurring in tropical areas, perhaps around the equator, that HIV/AIDS is most prevalent in African countries, that TB impacts people most in LIDCs, and that diabetes and CVD, or cardiovascular disease, heart disease, and that they are mainly impacting people in ACs. Was I right or not? I think. On the next slide, you can see an overview of some of the work that you're going to do today and also on Friday in Friday's lesson. Okay. And what we're going to think about are, for those 5 diseases, what is the global distribution of them? Okay. If you just skip forward a little bit past the maps, you can see who's studying which disease. So I would only like you to find out about that disease and make notes on that today. Okay. And then if you go back and have a look at the maps, I've given you some maps to get you started in terms of the global distribution of diseases, but be careful looking at these maps because they're all quite different. So for example, just need my laptop a bit nearer. So for example, the malaria one is cases per 100,000 per country. The HIV/AIDS one is death rate from HIV/AIDS per country. The TB one is incidence rates in 2011, so that's reported cases, and of course in poorer countries of the world it's probably being underreported, and you're probably getting a much more accurate reporting of the number of those diseases, actually people turning up looking for healthcare in the richer countries of the world. The one for diabetes is an estimate of diabetes prevalence for 2025, so that's a prediction. And finally, the cardiovascular disease map. Cardiovascular disease is all diseases of the heart and blood vessel system. And mainly it includes diseases like heart disease, so angina, heart attacks, stroke, also something called vascular dementia. And you can see that map is called CVD burden dailies per 100,000, and dailies just means the amount of years of potential life that have been lost to that disease through dying prematurely because of that disease, and also years lost of production due to the disease. So that generally means a lack of economic production, a lack of being able to work because you have that disease. Okay, so just be careful with those maps because they're all quite different. Make sure you know what you're looking at there. If you go forward 2 slides from that, who's looking at the disease, sorry, 3 slides from that, you'll see a table to show you that. Make sure you're looking at the right thing. No, I won't show you that because I can't work out how to do it. I'm not as tech savvy as you. So you'll see a table. It's got 3 columns on it. It is slide number 15. And what I'd like you to do is I would like you to find out about your disease and fill that in. So what is it? What are the causes? What are the symptoms? Whereabouts in the world is it prevalent? And what sort of numbers are we talking about in a variety of countries? Where is it not prevalent? What patterns can you see? And then why do you think it is so prevalent there, okay, in those places? And I'd like you to do that for the disease that you're studying and then share that information with the other person in your group or the other 2 people in your group in the case of malaria, and make 1 sheet which is the very best it can be. Make sure all 2 or 3 of you have got a copy of that sheet. And then I would like one of you to email me that sheet by Thursday the 30th of April. So 1 sheet for malaria, 1 for TB, 1 for diabetes, 1 for HIV/AIDS, and 1 for CVD. What I will do with that is I will then email all of those sheets out to everybody, and on Friday, in Friday's lesson time, you will make notes on the other 4 diseases that you haven't yet studied, but I'll send you an email to remind you about that. So what you need to do today is match your glossary, Africa map, then research the disease with the person that you are working with, or the people that you are working with. Okay. The last slide on that PowerPoint shows you some recommended websites to get you started, and they're good starting places for any work that we're doing in disease dilemmas. Those websites are good starting places. All of those diseases, all 5 of them, are not listed on every website, so you'll have to have a little bit of a sift through and see what you can find. But they are really, really reliable, globally recognised websites which will give you good information there, so that should get you started. Obviously, if you've got any questions, please feel free to email me. But what I'd like by Thursday, please, is your copy of your 1 sheet about your disease, the very best work that you and your partner, or you and your 3, can get done for me. Okay? Hope this video finds you all well, happy, safe, and if you've got any questions, please just let me know by email. Okay? Speak to you soon. Bye.